I want to talk about, because you just mentioned some tools that you use in the Love of Knowledge chapter. You kind of go into different tools that you use to keep you centered. And actually, you talk about meditation, and it actually got me to start meditating again.
Nice.
It did. Like when you said,
I'm happy to hear that.
It said that the space between thoughts is where we hear God speak to us. When I was like, that line, I was like, oh, let me start meditating.
That's good.
Again.
Who wrote that?
Yeah, right. Like that was very like that meditation. In your meditation, I wanted to ask you, because something that I know I've always grown up, because we're gonna talk about the whole church thing, because I know like that was in your book, but I grew up in church, and like everybody's like, oh, I heard God speak to me and all of this, and I'm always like, man, like like what is that like? Like yeah, like what is that like? What is God speak like? What does he sound like? So in that's why I wanted to ask you, like in your meditation, like what does God's voice sound like to you?
It sounds like my voice. Sounds like my voice, but it's just it's confirming, because I believe we all have God within us already.
Yeah.
So you're really just listening to yourself. But I feel like that's a little bit. Some people don't understand that. That's a generational thing. It's kind of like some older folks might be, well, what do you mean? Like, you're not God. Do you think you're God? And that's not. I don't think I'm God at all. I know that God is way bigger than me, but I also know that God is inside of me. I heard that. I don't remember where I got this from, but I like to use this analogy, is that if God was the ocean and you were to take a cup and scoop out a cup, that's us. You know what I'm saying? So we're a part of that ocean. We're just not as vast, and we're not the Atlantic. We're just a little cup.
But in your meditation, for instance, because when you meditate, it's like that's when like all the thoughts come.
Yeah.
So like, speak on a little bit like how you separate those thoughts from the calming thought.
That's a great question. How do I separate just the noise from the actual? Sometimes it's pretty easy sometimes to know that when it's just noise. You're like, when you meditate, you might think of anything. You're thinking what you're going to eat for lunch, what you wore yesterday, an argument that you got in, or this person said this, or an email. So it's somewhat easy to separate that. And when you're able to like really get into a place of stillness, and I think it comes from practice, like with anything. Like the more you do it, the more you'll be able to identify what that stillness feels like. You'll be able to identify what quote unquote God's voice sounds like. I think,
I like that. Now, also in that chapter, you talk about like your experiences in church and why you dislike church. Can you just speak on that just a tad?
Yeah, for sure. It's just something that didn't. I was just in the church last week from my mom graduated this class, and she asked me what I thought about it, and I'm like, I'm proud of you that you did this, and it was nice to be there for you for the event, but it's just not. I almost feel like they're playing like a joke on me when I'm there. Like it just feels like a little bit insulting. It's so much outward praise to a man named Jesus, and it's just not. It doesn't feel authentic to me. You know what I mean? So yeah, and that was my experience with it in church. And I think also just being educated and being able to think on my own. That switched some things. And also my brother Gil, he's very smart. And has a worldly view, and he's been saying this for years, that his religion is love. That's actually who I got the idea from years ago when I started writing.
That's what I was about to say, that like you almost just, with your book, you almost just like switched it. Instead of like Jesus in there, it's like love.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what it is, almost.
Yeah, because I think to look at Jesus as God, or to say that God has a gender, is insulting to God. It's like it puts God in a box. Like, human, nah, God is much bigger than a man or a woman. And if God was a gender, who's to say that it's a man? If anything, it would be a woman, the giver of life.
I like that. Talk that talk.
So yeah,
But,
church
yeah.
just wasn't, and then experiencing other things, like
Yeah.
experiencing just going out in nature, experiencing doing, like we're having church right now, doing what we
Yeah.
love. You're hosting Mateo's photography. I'm I'm talking about my book. Angels helping out. We're having church right now. So it's just about getting
Feels
out,
authentic.
yeah, and getting outside of that, the idea of what we think church is supposed to be, inside a building every Sunday, same people, same book, same songs,
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Well, how do you? Because in the book you talk about how you had to do a interview with a group of
Yep.
like religious men, and you thought at first you was like, "Nah, I'm not going to do it." But
Yeah.
then as you got into it, you changed your mind. So how did you?
Yeah.
How do you let like previous bad experiences, keep you like make sure that like you stay open?
Yeah.
How do you?
I think with that situation and with other situations that are similar, it's just going back to the message of the book, love. Like, I felt, like I said in that story when I wrote about it, that I felt there was love in the room. I felt like, I would prefer that the men didn't go the route of Christianity to feel that love, but, that's their journey. I was just thinking like, there's a lot of love in this room. These men are sharing and are open with each other, and I want other men in the city to feel that love. So I'm gonna write this story to get that out there. So it was just focusing on the love.
Like it was
love.
just kind of okay. So it was
I
just
wanted to make sure I
changing your
followed.
perspective.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that I followed, the message that I was given in the book.
With that, I want to talk about the love of God.
Mm-hmm.
In the book, you said trusting divine order and working with it and not against it or without it is how we exercise our love of God.
Mm-hmm.
Explain that, like, because that's almost the same, like, let Jesus take the wheel. Jesus take the wheel.
It definitely is. It is similar to that concept.
Yeah.
Just to trust that, and I think this came up a couple minutes ago. Trust that everything is happening for you and not against you. That you're the creator and not the victim of the situation, of the circumstances. And depending on how, if it's a life or death situation, or something like that, you come down with an illness or something like that, it may be hard for you to really come to that realization. But as far as that quote, it's just like, you have to trust that everything is happening for you, and you play a part in how things are happening, because I believe that we create our world with the way that we think and the actions that we take and the way that we treat other people and the way that we treat ourselves. So we are we're writing out, how our life is going to go. So it's that believing with also helping to create what's going to happen.
And in creating what happens, you talk about, vision boards and having a vision.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanna ask you, what is your vision?
My vision of success is, I think, with that, it's individual. So everybody's could be different. I don't think success is like a certain thing we have to aspire to, but more so like, are you doing what you love to do? And really, it comes back to the subtitle of the book, putting love first and succeeding at success is. That's probably not a good example because it's in the word success is in there.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is that success is it doesn't mean that you have to, like for me, one of my goals is to be a New York Times bestseller. But because I'm not a New York Times bestseller yet, that doesn't mean that I'm not successful. I'm successful because I'm on my path to doing it now. I know that everything that I do is getting me towards that goal. Every book that I sell is getting me towards that goal. Every interview that I do is getting me towards that goal. So in my mind, I'm successful already. And sometimes you might get a little bit thrown off of that. And sometimes, again, these concepts, and I'm not saying, always want to make it clear that I'm not an expert on this. Like, life is hard as shit. Like, we're all figuring it out as we go along. I just know that these are some of the things that have helped me and that continue to help me. So I say all that to say that, sometimes you may not feel sick. You may have that moment of, damn, I don't feel successful. I didn't do this right. I don't have all my shit together the way I need to. But 9 times out of 10, for me, I feel successful because I'm on my path. So I guess the short answer is just being on your path. If you're if you're doing what you love and you're doing it every day and you're enjoying what you're doing, then I feel like you're successful. It doesn't have to be that you have to have this many views or this many followers or this status or that status or this title. It's just more about, are you happy doing what you love to do. And that to me makes you successful, no matter if you could be a janitor and you could take pride in keeping the building clean. And to me, that's very successful if that's what you love to do and you're doing a good job at it.
I like that. So tell the people where you can get the book. Like,
yes, you can get Make Love Your Religion visit makeloveyourreligion.com. It is also available on Amazon and Google Play. And you can follow along to my journey on Twitter and Instagram at Scared of a Day Job. Scared of a Day Job is my writing and speaking company. And last but not least, we have a Facebook page for the book, and that is Make Love Your Religion. So if you search on Facebook, Make Love Your Religion, it should pop right up for you.
All right, well, thank y'all for watching. Definitely get his book. It definitely will help you on your journey, whatever journey that you're on, because it's not like a lot of the self-help books that sort of kind of almost feel like it's telling you what to do. This book really makes you go inside and figure out what's authentic to what you doing and what you love. So definitely awesome. Get his book. Again, this is Erica. This is Vision Matters. I hope this helped your vision.